About 2 years ago, in late 2018, early 2019, the 300th anniversary was on the horizon. The committee was formed to decide what activities to do to celebrate the 300th year. So one of the ideas was to have a coffee table book written about the history of Prince George. It took us two years finally to get it into print and delivered, and it's here now, and it's really been a labor of love. Our committee discovered a whole lot of information that we never knew before, and we had a wonderful photographer, Janet Williams, who took a lot of pictures here in the church. The cover shot is one of the stories that I'd like to tell. We had a lot of lovely pictures, but nothing that was really just worthy of the cover. So Janet said in March, and the book was due in May, I'm going to try one more time. So she came here at dusk, and she said she felt she was violating someone's sanctity in standing upon their grave, but she took the shot and several more, but it was just perfect. It was God's picture. He sent her there at the right time. He had the sun just in the right place to show how glowing the evening can be and how Prince George is glowing in itself. The church was built starting in 1742, opened in 1747. This narthex and steeple were built in 1824. Not too long afterwards, but still quite old in our time. The parish of Prince George was divided in 1734 when they decided that the town was going well. It was 4 years old by then, and they built the church here. And the little church that had been the site of Prince George out on Black River became Prince Frederick Parish. Now, they built this church, but from 1734 until 1865, we have no records.
The seating in this church, I guess we call it the box seating. What do you call it?
The box pews.
Yeah, well, what's the history of that? Because I think this is the only church I know of that does this, at least that I know of.
There are quite a few colonial churches in America that have the box pews. And the reason for that is for heating purposes. The high sides hold in a good deal of heat. They were owned by the people by the year. So it was private property. And they could bring braziers with hot stones or hot bricks or coals to put on the floor in the center of their pew and keep warm. But you're right, it is a rare sight in the 20th century. Mm-hmm. Many of the churches that had these have removed them and put in the parallel pews. Right. Prince George is very lucky that we've never changed these pews. So these are the original ones, the very ones that were here in 1747 when the church opened. One of the most interesting aspects of pews is that because they were private property, people wrote in them. So one of the parts of the book is about the 10 best inscriptions or pictures. There are names, dates, initials, pictures of horses and birds. There are beautiful ships, and there's a couple of little interesting messages. You have to come in, Prince George, to see what they are.
What was the purpose of the church starting Prince George Preschool?
The vestry felt that we needed an outreach program that really directly affected families. So knowing that there were not many preschools, plenty of daycares, but not many preschools, we opened Prince George Preschool around 2005. Mm-hmm. And the vestry formed the board for the preschool, and we voted that we would always have a scholarship program. And that has paid off in great dividends. The preschool has been full to overflowing. We originally said we would have about 16 children to each class. Well, after just a couple of years, we had to expand that to around 20 children in each class because the need was there. And then we started the aftercare program where children could stay after the 9 to 12 instruction time and stay for the rest of the day until 5 or 5:30 when working parents could pick up their children. And then we began an after-school program for elementary students. The focus was on our alumni of Prince George Church preschool, but that quickly expanded, and that's been a very popular program also.
Is there a history of the pipe organ?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the book, but
Right.
briefly, what can you say
No,
about
that's
the
fine.
history of the pipe organ?
In 1819, a gallery was added to the church, and a pipe organ was ordered at that time. One of the treasures that we found in searching our archives is we found the original 1816 document that ordered and described what the organ, that original organ, would look like. So we had that first organ that went in 1819 from New York City. And then 1850 was the second organ, and it lasted 97 years. Not so well at the last of those few years. And then from 1947, we had a series of electric organs and other types of organs. 1968, an organ, a beautiful pipe organ built in St. Hyacinth in Canada, was put in. And it is still with us. It's still with us in form. The whole interior of the organ was taken out and digitized. So we have seven supercomputers that were put in 2019. But those supercomputers govern more than 17,000 different tones, and it's fabulous. And our organist, Jim Cock, has just mastered it beautifully, and it's got literally the bells and whistles